All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're looking at a tool that claims it can solve one of the biggest headaches we all have online. It's called TransferChain Pass, and it's making a huge promise: lifetime security for just one single payment. So, is it for real? Let's find out.
So, let me just ask you this. Are you just completely tired of trying to remember dozens of crazy, complicated passwords? Do you get that little knot in your stomach every time you hear about another big data breach? And maybe most of all, are you just sick of watching those monthly subscription fees for your security tools stack up? If you're nodding your head right now, trust me, you are not alone.
You know, these three things, we're talking password fatigue, that constant anxiety about breaches, and the never-ending subscription costs, they're pretty much universal. It doesn't matter if you're just one person, a family, a freelancer, or running a small business. They slowly but surely eat away at our money and, honestly, our peace of mind.
But what if there was another way to do things? The review we're digging into today puts a really interesting contender on the table, one that's trying to offer a permanent solution to this whole cycle of payments and worry.
And here it is, TransferChain Pass. The whole idea is actually pretty simple, but it's really powerful. It's a zero-knowledge password manager, which means it's got top-tier security, but it's sold as a lifetime deal. The whole point is to completely replace those expensive subscriptions from big names like 1Password or LastPass with one single, affordable, one-and-done payment. And you know, according to the review, the first impression is really good. The user interface is clean, it's modern, not all cluttered up like some of the older tools out there. Getting set up is quick. Pulling your passwords from another manager is super simple, and it syncs almost instantly between your computer and your phone. And maybe most importantly, the dashboard just makes sense. It's organized in a way that makes it really easy for anyone to just jump in and get started.
Okay, but a pretty interface is one thing. When we're talking about a password manager, it's only as good as its security, right? So let's pop the hood and really see how TransferChain Pass is protecting your data.
So, the whole foundation of its security is what's called a zero-knowledge model. And in simple terms, all that means is that your data gets encrypted right there on your own device before it ever even gets sent to their servers. The company has zero idea what your master password is. Only you have the key. So even if they wanted to, they couldn't get into your vault, period.
Now this is where it gets really interesting. As you can see, TransferChain adds a whole other layer of security on top of that. It doesn't just store your encrypted vault in one spot. It uses this process called data fragmentation. So it takes that encrypted data, chops it up into little pieces, and then spreads those pieces all across a secure network. This is a really smart way to prevent a single point of failure, because a hacker would have to break into multiple servers just to try and piece everything together.
Of course, that all sounds great in theory, but how does it actually work in the real world? Well, the review put it to the test, focusing on one of the most important features for anyone working in a team: securely sharing passwords and then, just as important, taking that access away.
And what was the result? It worked like a charm. Giving a team member access was instant. And when that access was taken away, the review noted an immediate, real-time revocation upon command. That's huge. It proves that the security policies work instantly, which is absolutely critical when you're dealing with sensitive client or company info. Okay, now let's talk about what might just be the most dramatic part of this whole review: the money. How does this lifetime deal actually stack up against one of the big subscription players? Well, the numbers are pretty mind-blowing. For a small team, we're talking just 3 people. The one-time cost for TransferChain Pass is $49. A similar plan from 1Password teams over 5 years would set you back over $1,400. I mean, that difference is just massive. And here it is. This number just perfectly illustrates the total savings over that 5-year stretch. Nearly $1,400. For a small business, hey, that's a new laptop. That's your marketing budget for a quarter. That is a serious amount of cash that stays right where it belongs, in your pocket.
So let's boil it all down to this. The entire one-time cost of this lifetime deal pays for itself in less than 3 months compared to the subscription. And after that, all the security, all the updates, all the features, they're basically free. Forever.
So, with all of that on the table, let's get down to the final verdict. The review does a great job of breaking down exactly who this deal is perfect for and who might need to keep looking.
So who's the perfect fit?
It's really for those security-conscious freelancers, consultants, and small teams of, say, up to 5 people. It's for folks who need really strong, modern security and a way to share things safely, but who don't need all the super complex, large-scale enterprise features like advanced single sign-on or directory syncing.
So look, here's the trade-off, plain and simple. On the plus side, you get that top-tier, zero-knowledge security with data fragmentation, and the value is just, well, it's unbeatable. On the minus side, it doesn't have as big of a library of integrations as a market leader like 1Password, and it doesn't support some of those advanced login tools for big companies.
The review's final conclusion? It's completely unambiguous. It calls TransferChain Pass a must-buy for its target audience. The bottom line is that the value is just too good to pass up if you fit that profile.
And really, that's the big takeaway. The analysis basically concludes that this deal gives you about 90% of the security and sharing features you'd get from a big-name leader, but it completely gets rid of that endless subscription cost. It's a foundational piece of your security setup for a one-time fee.
And all of this leaves us with an even bigger question to chew on. As we're all feeling that growing subscription fatigue, could deals like this actually be the future? Is the one-time payment model about to make a huge comeback for personal and small business software? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining me.